feet in those toe clips, tightening them in very, very tight indeed. So often we are treated to the exhibition of professional riders pulling their feet out of those clips in the sprint, and as a result losing all of their momentum when they really want to go as fast as they can. And Piper, a very popular rider here. Many of the cheers here reserved for Alan Piper. Everybody, I suspect, would like to see Timmins win, because his sponsors, A&C and Whole Foods, are here in Birmingham and just down the road in Stoke-on-Trent, and Adrian Timmins himself coming from Canada. So it really will be a home victory tonight for the young man in his first year as a pro, and the only rider who's likely to spoil it, certainly there's no one else, will be Alan Piper. And there's Piper now. Piper looking across, and I think Piper's saying, come on through and do some work, don't just sit there. And I think Timmins is objecting, but accepting the fact he must go and do some work at the front to keep them both ahead of the field. So Piper has talked Timmins into coming up front as we go out once more onto the circuit. And Timmins looks across at Piper and goes back into his slipstream. Piper is going to wonder now quite what he's got to do to get rid of Adrian Timmins. This could be a most interesting sprint. You remember back to Nottingham, you remember to Alan Piper, also winning there by default when he was third across the line. The riders in front of him were both disqualified for poor sprinting, but of course Piper won here in 18.4 as well. And that's the field going by, but the interest turns to the back of the race because the two leaders are coming flying round that corner again. And although these two riders are losing a little bit of time, they're no longer interested in time now. They've given up the thought of catching that group in front. They're more concerned with each other. And Piper's still finding the strength to be the workhorse with 2 laps to go. He's going to become more and more concerned by the lack of effort coming from Adrian Timmins now. Timmins perhaps can be excused this because he's anxious to win, living so close to home. You'll never ever slow Alan Piper down, and that's a certainty. He doesn't know when to give up. This has made him such a popular racing cyclist on the continent as well as here in Britain. Piper still being left to make this climb up and away from New Street. He must be very concerned now by Timmins just sitting there, not giving him anything, because if a rider can keep up in the slipstream, and Piper of all people will know that Timmins will find the strength to come through in the sprint. Coming through to the bell this time, Alan Piper continually out of the saddle to keep his rhythm up here, and now he watches over his shoulder to see the whereabouts of Adrian Timmins, and he's still actually shouting at him, I think. He's not a man to mince words like most Australians when the chips are down, and Piper will certainly be saying a thing or two to Adrian Timmins. 1 lap to go, inside a kilometre to the finish, and still Piper is obliged to lead. Piper searching all the time for that gear lever, shifting it up and down, changing gear. So anxious now to know the whereabouts of Adrian Timmins. He knows this race is between the two of them. Timmins quite content not to follow, and Piper weaving all over the road here. This is like a track finish. The rider in the front wants the rider at the back to come and take the lead, and Timmins is having none of it. So as we come down towards the finish now, you can hear the bell. Well, that in fact is for the main field, just passing through the line. We're watching the finish now, and almost on the tail of the leaders. Piper still in the front, watching for the jump that's going to come from Timmins for sure. Timmins goes for the gears, moves up to the gears which might win in this race. Here in the centre of Birmingham. Piper knows the road so well, he knows the finish, he's done it all before. Piper opens the sprint now, Timmins starts too. Timmins goes on his right and he's coming fast. Timmins goes by on Alan Piper. Piper grits his teeth here and he's coming back. Timmins is on the right on the line. Well, what a marvellous finish. Alan Piper takes it on the line, and well he deserved to as well. But what a sprint that really was, because Piper came home by the width of his racing tire, I think, and he'll be absolutely delighted with that. And Timmins appreciates the work rate of Alan Piper. This is the sprint for third place, and Malcolm Elliott on the far right using those legs which won in Dublin and which won in Cardiff last week. It won't be first now, but easily he takes third place. Mark Walsham will take fourth. So Elliott will increase his overall lead.
That's how I saw them over the line. But it was the man in the yellow, Malcolm Elliott, who
So as the riders cool down, we'll try and catch a look at the slow motion. There's the two leaders going down the circuit to the applause of a marvellous crowd. And now here we are with the slow motion, and you can see in the end that Piper won it quite well.
Alan Piper, congratulations. Was that your scheme of things right from the start, to break away like that?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the hardest circuit of the series, and I didn't think I was going to get rid of him there. Everyone seemed to be riding so good tonight, and well, I just sort of persevered, and it came off. Luckily I had an ANC rider with me, and he worked quite well. And I lost it to him in the end.
You just picked him at the death, didn't you?
I changed gears, and my gear jumped, and he got in front. I thought, God, I've lost it.
Tell me, how were you able to break away like that?
Well, if you just keep attacking somebody, they just get sick of it after a while.
And there's something about you Aussies, isn't there? You seem to win here. Well, you do win here every year.
Well, in Europe, I rode 3 weeks in the Tour de France 3 years ago, my first Tour de France, and I didn't have one person cheer me for me for 3 weeks, and when I come here, it's like fantastic. That's enough to spur anybody on.
You enjoy this crowd support, do you?
Well, did you hear him cheer for me when I won? That's fantastic.
And what a great ride that really was. So there now is the overall classification of the King of the Sprints. Mike Doyle, despite retirement today, keeps his lead. Malcolm Elliott second, McLaughlin is third, and Steve Jockey is fourth. That'll be the order when they go to Westminster. And the result tonight, no doubt about the winner in the end, Alan Piper from Australia, Adrian Timmis from ANC Halfords, Malcolm Elliott gets third, Mark Walsham is fourth, and Jockey takes fifth. And the happy man tonight, Alan Piper, and what a winner he really was. And the yellow jersey goes back on the shoulders of Malcolm Elliott, who will be the leader for the final of our event in Westminster.